Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Gigantic Community Council, rather impromptu gathering of the minds. Obviously, there was some big news today, and we want to talk about that. So we're gathered by quite a few people, as you can see in TeamSpeak. So I'm not really going to dive into who we have, because you can see their names, but let's really get into what everyone wants to talk about, and that's the GG Unleashed overhaul, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, no. No, as you can see in TeamSpeak. So I'm not really going
hey,
to
this is
dive
gonna be
into
fun.
who we have because you can see their names. But let's really get into. You guys are going to get some loop back because I neglected to mute Twitch. So, but anyways, obviously today Motiga announced a merger with, they're not a merger, but a partnership with Microsoft and bringing Gigantic to the Xbox One and Windows 10. So that's brought some different avenues of thinking, good things, bad things, and the like. So we really want to talk about that. So let's dive right in. Council, what do you guys think of this merger? And since we're using this whole lighted names in TeamSpeak, we're going to go straight down to the first person on the list from me up, Short Bus.
Oh, so much pressure. Well, I think that it is really great for Motiga. First off, congratulations to them. I think it's really a brilliant business move. Um, from the bottom of my heart, I really think that. I am also really optimistic about the community itself because they have fostered the community so far, and Microsoft isn't about to send men in suits to replace them with, doppelganger robots. Yeah, right. So, and I think the knee jerk reaction, and I'll be honest, I had it too, was, oh no, a big company. Ugh, gross. Um, but once that subsided, I was like, all right, you know what? I think we got this. I think Motiga got this. I think Go Gigantic isn't going to suffer and isn't inherently going to suffer from the partnership. So that's kind of my thoughts on it. My base thoughts on it.
All right, Perry.
Yeah, I guess I kind of have the convenient counterpoint here. I mean, I think there's one thing to say that, oh God, it's a big company, this is really bad. But I think my initial inclination was, oh goodness, it's Microsoft, this is really bad. And I think I feel kind of the same about this as how I felt like when there was the initial rumors that Twitch was getting bought out by Google, and then they end up getting taken out by Amazon instead. And I think there's a matter of, it's not so much that it's a big company, but that Microsoft has a really bad track record in the gaming community in the same way that YouTube, kind of showed that Google doesn't know how to do online video. Games for Windows Live was questionable at best. Microsoft doesn't, Xbox One was kind of a questionable launch in the terms of the gaming community. I'm hopeful that this is going to turn out really well for Motiga and that everything's going to work well. I mean, I'm currently talking to you from Windows 10, and Windows 10 is pretty good. I have no problems about the Windows 10 update, but Microsoft's got a sketchy reputation, and I just hope that it's not going to end poorly.
Baz?
So, in terms of like people freaking out that Microsoft and Motiga are partnering, I really don't think it's that big of a deal. I mean, for those of you who follow me on Twitter and just in general, I'm not a big Xbox person. I'm not a big console gamer, mainly because Xbox just has really done a lot of shady things throughout the last few years in terms of gaming, claiming exclusive games on their system when, 24 hours later, they're like, just kidding, and just kind of stuff like that that just really turned me off from them as a gaming company. Now, from a software and development company, they're fantastic. I use Windows. I use a bunch of other, just products. If I had a Windows phone, I'd probably choose that over everything else because they're really, really good. But I think that the overall consensus that this is going to like somehow divide our community or somehow divide certain aspects of our esports scene that we don't actually have yet because the game's not even launched, I think is just way kind of overzealous. So I think it's important that we all just kind of take a breathe down, come off of our Xbox Microsoft hate pedestal, because it's not really appropriate to bash a company that we really don't know any details about in this partnership. So I think it's a good thing. I think that this is a bold move for Motiga, and I support them. They've been very, very honest and open and very, very supportive of everything the community is kind of worried about. So I have no doubt that they're going to do well in this endeavor as well.
Fantastic. Let's go down to are there guests in the room? The only one of us without a beard here, Corrupt.
The only one of us without a beard?
Yeah, I get my words
I'm
mixed up.
confused. I'm really confused.
Wait, hang on. I have a beard now. Does this count?
That's
I
sad.
can put on my beard mask.
No.
That's sad. Please don't.
Oh, it's happening. He's doing it. Every chance he gets, he's doing it.
Okay, it's a far shot from the real thing. God, the Twitch stream just caught up with me, and now you have a cat beard. I don't have the video screen up on my computer because I was looking at other stuff. So I'm psyched for the Microsoft partnership. I think someone said merger earlier. It's not a merger; it's a partnership. So just clearing that up.
I
in case anyone
misspoke.
heard.
Yes.
In case anyone heard merger, it's definitely not. So I'm excited for cross-platform. I'm excited for getting Xbox One players on because it's going to just open up the game to more people, to more money, which is a good thing. It's not necessarily what they were after, but more money means Gigantic's going to be funded for a lot longer, which is really cool. Means better performance stuff, means better esports in the long distant future when that happens. I'm not super psyched about Windows 10 only. That caught me off guard a little bit. I assume it's for reasons for making it easier to develop on a 64-bit platform on Xbox One and Windows, so they can share easily. And DirectX 12 is cool, but I don't know if the game's even running with DirectX 12 yet. So that's obviously not a thing. When it gets there, we'll see that. I am concerned with how Windows 10 is going to perform, just because I haven't quite used it yet. I haven't jumped into it. They say it's designed for gamers, so if they did smart things like sharing processes across cores, hyper-threading a little bit better, better code behind the scenes to integrate processors and CPUs, then I'd be a little happier. But that all remains to be seen with what Microsoft does. And if they did it right, it's going to be awesome, and the free Windows 10 upgrade is going to be cool. Otherwise, I think it's going to be bad news, unfortunately. So we just have to wait and see how well Microsoft did their thing. And if they did, I think the game will do well, because the game's good on its own. I don't think Microsoft partnership's going to murder it. But we will see.
Guys, do me a favor. If you've said your piece, go ahead and mute your microphone in TeamSpeak again. That way I don't continue to call on you guys. Make it a little bit easier. All right, and we're going to go down, and I'm going to screw your name up. I know that's Ted, right? Tara Luther?
Yeah, you can call me Ted. That's fine.
Okay, Ted.
So my concern about this is I've actually seen another company go down this path before with a Microsoft partnership. I don't know if you guys remember Sigil Games doing a little game that I was really excited for at one point called Vanguard Saga of Heroes, that old MMO. The big thing with the Microsoft partnership with them is Microsoft started making timeline demands that Sigil ended up not being able to meet. So the funding that they got from Microsoft got pulled. And that's what I'm kind of concerned about happening with Gigantic. I know it's not a purchase or anything like that, but I'm concerned about Microsoft wielding their influence to make things happen much faster than they should be. Because if you guys were around for the Vanguard Saga Heroes launch, you all know it was buggy as crap. You couldn't play it. It was pretty bad. So I just hope that this doesn't result in the same thing that happened to Vanguard.
Right, but weren't they co-published with Sony?
That was after Microsoft pulled out.
Right, they pulled. I looked it up. They pulled out in April, and then Sony actually launched the product.
Right, but after the funding getting pulled from Microsoft, Sigil was in a bad shape financially. They had to release early.
Fair enough. Okay. That's and it's there's a lot to be said about things like this, but I think some of us, and I'm guilty of it as well, look at this a little bit wrong. And once it becomes back to my turn, I will chime in. But we're going to go to Toby.
Okay, so my thoughts is that I actually like this because I have a bit of a potato of a computer, so I'm not sure if I'd be able to run it that greatly. So being able to have it on like a console that'd be actually higher quality and probably not as bad lag or frames per second would probably make it a whole lot better for me. Plus, I'm just a console gamer at heart. That's what I grew up with. And I'm just now getting into the PC area, so I don't know as much as everybody. So I'm actually pretty excited for Microsoft to be into this, and I can't wait to see what's going to go on with it and such.
All right. Yeah, that's there's something to be said about that. And again, I'm going to call on Soul, and then I'll chime in. Oh, we got Eric too who wants to talk. So Soul, then Eric, then I'll go.
I was just gonna say, well, one, I'm not like the biggest Microsoft fan, but that's again, I have the utmost faith in Motiga to do basically to keep doing their thing and actually continue supporting the community as they've done just a rock star job so far. But my main thing was the cross-platform idea. It's been done before with a game called Shadowrun, and that bombed really bad. And it's simply because PC and console players, they just don't mix, in terms that PC will always they will always dominate games. It's just the nature of the controls. And it's one of those, I like the idea that console players will get to play and PC players will get to play, but if the idea of them playing together will probably spawn the same I don't know, the same rift in the community as it did with Shadowrun. It's just console gamers will feel like they're getting destroyed. PC gamers will get egos. It's hard to balance without nerfing people into the ground. And I think that will be the biggest challenge that, if they can overcome, will be really good. But as of yet, nobody's been able to take on that challenge.
Fair enough. Eric?
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree with what Soul just said. That was the main point I was going to make, is Motiga's trying to make a competitive, game here. And when you have a cross-platform situation, you're going to have a hard time keeping things balanced. Now, I think it's ideal for, casual play. I love the fun idea of being at your desk, your computer desk, gaming, playing a few games of Gigantic, and then moving to the couch, hanging out with, I don't know, your SO or your kids or your pets or whatever.
Your SO?
SO, significant other.
Oh,
sort of thing.
For some reason I was thinking parole officer.
Oh yeah, I'm my parole officer. No. But yeah, I mean, that's a good idea, but if you're trying to make a cohesive, competitive game, it needs to be the same experience across all platforms. And they even said in their little FAQ release that they will not be the same. The UI will be different. The controls will be different. Xbox One will not support keyboard and mouse, so there's just no option for them to have the same play experience. I think it's awesome for casual gaming, but not so much for the competitive scene.
Fair enough. I want to talk about a couple of things that were addressed. Vanguard Saga of Heroes was pulled by, and Kennedy, I see you, buddy, but I'm gonna go. Vanguard Saga of Heroes was an MMO designed by Sigil Games that came out on the PC. Microsoft had their hand in it, and at the time, I would say that the play field for games was a lot different than it is today, where people don't expect huge budget games to take 6-9 years in some cases, because back then they were all still competing with the new genre, the MMO genre. So I don't think that that's a comparable product or off byproduct of Microsoft as a game studio. And to the point of somebody mentioned Shadowrun as a cross-platform title. Shadowrun just wasn't a good game. Gigantic is an amazing game. So I think that has a lot to that caliber and that kind of conversation piece. And so I want to turn it over to Kennedy before his microphone has a seizure.
Ha ha ha! I thought it was broke. So I think some people in here, I feel like they're over dramatizing things a bit on the differences in the systems and the settings and what's going to go on. Because like the biggest thing that I see is you mentioned Shadowrun, and Shadowrun was a game when Windows Live for Games existed, a time when things were screwed up all the time with Windows and gaming. So like we are way past that era, and we are nowhere near that situation anymore. And top it all off is this game isn't strictly a shooter game. When you're talking about the gap difference between a controller and keyboard and mouse, that's very apparent and very evident in FPS games or third-person shooter games. That's obvious because that aiming is very precise. It's really weird and stuff. But you know what? I really think a melee character can be quite competitive, perfectly fine, with a controller going up against people. In some cases, they might find it even easier for certain people to be able to use that controller than they're ever going to have using a keyboard and mouse. And as was said in chat, and it's been said on the Reddit, and it's been said elsewhere, the game is cross-platform, but it's not forced. You can opt in and choose to play on the same servers as other people. And when you opt in and choose to play on the same servers as the others, then you have acknowledged to yourself that you're going to play against people using a different play against or with people using a different device to control the game. And so in that respect, like it may not completely remove people going, well, you're probably using a controller and that's why you suck. That might still happen, but I don't think it's going to happen as much because people are literally opting in and acknowledging to themselves that they are playing with and against people of other things. And then when it goes to the competitive level of it, who knows? The community will probably rally around their own things and have console tournaments and PC tournaments only and stuff and set them up that way, or they might do it with both and combine them and stuff. So it's going to kind of be like how the community approaches that side of it. And in regard if there's ranked gaming to this, then of course I guess we can in the future talk to the devs of what we think about ranked gaming and if that should be limited between controller and PC or not.
Right, and I don't think that they're gonna drive or have hosted tournaments where it's cross-platform. So, but that remains to be seen. Let's turn it over to Nalmers.
Thanks, Tim. So just wanted to touch base on the partnership itself. I just think Microsoft is trying to build the best product it can. We saw that with DirectX 12 announcements, some features that it has there. We saw it with their Microsoft Office is now going to be a free piece of software on Windows 10. So I just think they're trying to build the best product and trying to get as many people to update. I'm thinking that they didn't see as many people update to Windows 8 and Windows 8.1 from Vista, XP, and 7 that they would have liked to. And I just think they want to promote that and make it the best product they can. With regards to the cross-platform play, I'm interested in seeing some other input devices. I mean, just today we saw the Steam controller finally get their final design shown, the consumer version shown for $50. Just be interested to see what other devices are going to come out, whether that's other third-party devices, either first-party devices from Microsoft itself that could possibly maybe bridge the gap between PC and console play that some people are saying is too wide right now.
So I've been trying to talk and I forgot that I muted.
Oh yeah, I did the same thing.
So when you're on cam, we get a little stir crazy. I don't know if you could tell.
Testosterone in this room.
Yeah,
Jeez.
Slow it down, Timber. Bring it down. Fun. Bring it down. So let's. I know Noirbot has been unmiked for some time, so let's hear from him.
Yeah, actually, I mean, kind of specifically going off what Nalmers said. I mean, Microsoft is generally, they've done a. I don't necessarily think that they're going to ruin the product, but I mean, to point to the work that they're doing on Windows 10, which is a wonderful product, and as a web developer, I'm happy for anything that gets people off of old versions of Windows and stop using IE8. But Microsoft just has such a questionable track record. I mean, Office going free is fantastic, but you look at Microsoft Office, I have to use it every day for work, and like it is a scary, awful piece of software in so many ways. And I think that's ultimately the worry. Is it's not none of this is I'm saying like, oh goodness, Motiga's ruined the game or I'm never going to play anymore, but just that there are so many, there's such a track record of this going poorly and Microsoft making questionable decisions that I'm just significantly worried. Secondly, like with regards to how like the discussion of Xbox people versus PC people, I think the issue is less that people are going to be good or bad at one version of the other, but that it's going to be harder to necessarily build a community across it. I think a lot of the discussion has been about, it's not going to be as competitive on Xbox or it's not going to be as good, but it's also just going to be awkward. Any sort of tournament is probably going to be entirely on one platform or the other, which is just going to serve to fracture the community as, 4 members of my team are on PC and I'm on Xbox and we all met together, so I guess I'm going to have to switch to PC or vice versa.
But under a game that's and I'm going to turn it over to person who's been waiting the longest, Baz, here in just a second. But with the game model being free to play, as I understand it, I don't think that's going to be a huge for people who are capable. I have an Xbox One. I can switch between the two with ease. But I'll wait my turn somewhat. Baz, let's hear from you for 30 seconds.
Okay, I'm good. No. So like my biggest kind of thing that people are kind of talking about. Please don't eat that crap. That would be really sad because Optimus Prime is awesome. Oh, what are you doing? Okay, anyway, don't.
25s.
Oh my gosh. So like the whole like concern about splitting the community, I think is kind of silly. Because the main community is going to be on the PC. I mean, that's going to be where the main tournaments come from, where the main competitive teams come from. And if an Xbox team that plays exclusively on the Xbox wants to plug in a controller onto the PC and play that way, awesome. And if they can actually compete with the top games that play with the keyboard and mouse, I think that would really say a lot about their skill level as players. So like worrying that this is going to somehow split the esports scene or split the competitive community or the community in general, I think is just really unfair, because console gaming and console, I guess, users are I like to think of them as more casual than the PC crowd, because the PC crowd dedicates a lot of money into their gaming rig. I mean, you buy the Xbox, you buy the PlayStation 4, and that's all you have to do. It runs any games it comes out with. But with the PC, you're constantly upgrading your stuff, you're constantly tweaking it and that kind of thing. So in terms of like splitting the community, I'm really not worried about it. I think it's just an overreaction that people are like, oh my gosh, this has happened in the past, it's going to happen again. But you have to remember, the companies that tried that really weren't as grounded as Motiga is, and I'm going to stand by that.
Fair enough. So let's. I think Norbot's had his. Timber. Let's hear from Timber. Some call you Timber.
All right, let me hop on this soapbox. So I would agree with Baz. I think it is kind of a leap. And I do think that's the knee-jerk reaction, though. And I think that is a fair knee-jerk reaction because of past. But we are entering new territory. And what's really cool about video games as a technology is the technology to advance and to continue to advance and impress and surprise us. And I personally think it would be very small-minded to think that we couldn't advance to that next level of being able to bring together consoles and the PC master race and make them, more interchangeable. And that's what's really cool is, there's a possibility to make it interchangeable. And I also think Motiga has done a really good job at fostering their community. And I think if they continue, and if we continue as a community to foster that, you'll see way less of a divide than you would maybe 2, 3, 5 years ago. you know, it's advanced and it's getting better every day. And that's so cool. And I might get in trouble for this point, but I'm gonna say it. Um, I think it's also important to remember that it's a game and that there's no reason to split it. There's no reason to be ugly to each other because one person prefers a controller over a keyboard and mouse. And I think at the end of the day, all us community nerds need to sit down and go, all right, we're still in this together. We have this gigantic game and we're all still at the end of the day playing the same game. And it is a game. And to remember to be human. Like,
Yeah, exactly. Kennedy, let's hear from you.
I think you have to be super careful about trying to sit here and call the Xbox crowd or community and stuff the casual players, or they're not going to care that they're not going to take it serious. There are, and I know for a fact that there are plenty of clans and guilds and organizations that are super serious on consoles, and they'll go at it super hard. And I think we actually have like a huge opportunity here. And I don't think we can get conceited as PC players thinking, oh, we're going to have the biggest size because console player base is freaking huge. But we have an opportunity here now with this idea, this cross-platform play, to take what we've been doing in the PC market in terms of competitive play and help elevate the console competitive play beyond the junk we see from Call of Duty's whatever they have esport wise going on when you see their stuff. It feels like a joke there. Like I feel like we can actually elevate it and bring them up to a new level, whether it's in a separate league of their own or with us. Because honestly, if we can get console players who are flipping amazing with the controller and can keep up with keyboard and mouse players, then by all means merge it together because that's just awesome.
But Kennedy, we can't sit here.
To.
We can't sit here and say, don't call them casual players and then say that the crap Call of Duty. It just seems like just a kind of contradiction to me.
No, I was saying that the state of the Call of Duty esports scene. I'm not talking about the game. I'm not talking about the people who play the game. I'm talking about the scene and the effort put into the esports scene of Call of Duty compared to the esports scene of many games on PC right now.
Okay, fair enough.
And I'm saying that has lacked severely. The esports scene on console has been very lackluster and effort has been very limited into it. The fact that we have a cross-platform game that's going to even play on the same servers means we're going to have a merged community regardless, gives us an opportunity to really elevate that and really like change the scene on consoles for the better in terms of the competitive scene.
I think my biggest concern, and this is by comparison is not much of a concern at all, is that as an Xbox One owner, I know that the number of people who have migrated to the Xbox One is kind of small comparatively, whereas people have I would say that there's probably way more people who have a computer capable of playing Gigantic than own an Xbox One console and an Xbox Live subscription. Now we don't obviously know if Xbox Live will be a requirement for this, but it's one of those things where you have to say, well, how big is that Xbox community going to get? And that's obviously something that we'll see down the road. On that same topic, one thing I want to say on this whole thing, this whole Motiga, Microsoft, Microtiga thing, is that it's not.
Oh, don't start that.
It's a thing. It's a thing. Hashtag Microtiga.
No.
But
No.
Is that this to me feels a lot like an IP saying, hey, we just want our game also to be on Xbox. Not Microsoft is going to dictate how we develop our game, and Microsoft is going to dictate when we release and how we give out content. It's just, hey, let's open the door for Microsoft players to join in, or for Xbox players to join in. There is a huge disconnect. This whole PC master race is a lot like, racism in a sense. We hate it. Don't take it that extreme, Pat. It's people hate Xbox or console gamers with a degree that's just uncouth. We're gamers. This is a community, a global community of gamers, and the fact that Microsoft and Motiga are bridging a gap that's existed for years is huge. it's gigantic. I think, Ted, you had your unmuted first.
One thing I wanted to bring up with this whole console and PC players thing, and along with the controller versus keyboard and mouse, I would like to remind everybody that every single year at EVO, there is always somebody who does really, really well in the fighting game community playing with a pad. So the players will adapt, and the good players will be able to, exceed in whatever, control method that they prefer. And, fighting games have been cross-platform for, like, a while now. I mean, just look at Guilty Gear XRD. I mean, I can play on PC and play against somebody on PS3. I mean, that's been done for a while, and it's really no different at all. So I don't really see the concern. I mean, I do wish that you could plug a keyboard and mouse into an Xbox One, because I know you can do that. I play Final Fantasy 14, and you can play it on a PS4 and a PS3, and you can plug a keyboard and mouse into a PS4 and run it that way. So I kind of wish that that part would get resolved.
I agree. It's a little odd that Microsoft, that owns Windows, doesn't allow the main input-output devices to be used on their console. But anyways, Nanners.
So I just want to point out that Smite released in 2014. I'm just bringing Smite into the conversation now. Smite released in 2014, in March, actually, so almost a year ago. And it's PC exclusive, and now they're porting it to Xbox One. And that's just to grow their player base. But they're a year behind on that. So Motiga is going to have the advantage of working directly with Microsoft to get their game on both platforms, ideally for a simultaneous launch. More likely it's going to be probably a delayed launch. That's just my speculation. But they're just getting the game into as many hands as they can. And I think that's really great for a startup studio that, while the devs are great, it just hasn't proven itself yet. But the game itself speaks for its own. And I'm just really excited to see it into as many players' hands as quickly as possible.
Touche. I'm clapping for you. Hold on a second. We're going to turn it over to Baz here in just a second. All right. Oh, the timer's gone. Where'd it go? All right, Baz, let's hear from you. I'm going to start the timer on back end.
Oh, okay. So, in regards to the Smite comment that you made, people were playing Smite on a controller with from a competitive level since they figured out how to do it. So there's really no stopping people from playing on a competitive level with a controller, and I think people are I get the sense from some people on the Reddit and certain other just comments that I read that because people play with their controller means that they can't competitively play with people with a keyboard and mouse. Now, there have been studies that have shown that the keyboard and mouse are way more accurate and sensitive and blah, blah, blah science. But that doesn't mean that a team can go from the Xbox to the tournament, bring their controllers, set them up with the controller support that Motiga obviously has. I mean, Greg even said in chat that he put controller and support in there a long time ago. So, I mean,
if Greg put it in, we don't guarantee it's working.
Well, I mean, but it's in there. It's in there. And one of the it's just my biggest problem is people are just overreacting about the whole competitive kind of scene where we don't really have one yet because the game hasn't been launched. We're still in alpha. The only competitive scene we have right now is the tournaments that we've had at the PAX conventions. So, I mean, just, I guess, calm down. I honestly, I think Corrupt, this would probably be a topic for you to kind of chime in on because, you're part of Clashpoint. So it's kind of your realm of expertise, I guess.
I can chime in. Chiming. Ding dong.
Ding dong.
I echo what you say about controllers. It's been looked at a ton, and controllers are inferior to mouse keyboard when it comes to competitive gaming. We had a discussion about this earlier with Clashpoint guys, and the way I see it is there's going to be a ceiling, and I'm going to draw a pretty little graph. So there's going to be majority of, we'll make this our casual players. right here. So here's our casual, non-competitive players. And then up in this section, actually, it's not that big at all. It's going to be this tiny little section here.
You need a whiteboard behind you.
I do. This is our top percentage of competitive players. Okay, so these are the people that you see professionally playing on streams, the people that you see going to esports conventions, the people you see in the matches weekly. The people are like, this is the guy I'm gonna like copy his freaking build, so because he's so good at XYZ character. So in the casual section, it's not going to matter too much because down here is where you're going to have cross-platform, and it's going to be encouraged, and I encourage it, and my wife is going to play cross-platform, and she will probably use a controller because she likes them more. But it's good because it gets so many more people into the game together. It's going to shorten queue times. It's going to increase the breadth of people that can play in different elos together. If you're doing ranked, you can play faster because you're not having to stop and wait for these long queue times with a smaller population game at the beginning. It's going to be bigger because of how much Microsoft's pushing it. So there's going to be a glass ceiling. That's what I'm going to call it. And it's probably going to start right here. And I'm going to draw it as thick as I can so you guys can see it. This little section right here. These are what I'm going to call our top level controller players. And as you can see, I didn't put it up too high on the competitive scale because unfortunately when it just comes down to it, I've been playing competitive shooters since I was 14. I was a professional CS player in 1.6 way back in the day, and I used to compete in Quake 3. And there were kids that wanted to play, and they played controllers then, and they always talked about, if I just had a controller, I could do so much better. If I just had a controller, I'd be so good at this game. And then it finally came to a point where people finally got controllers ported over, and it showed time and time again that it comes to a point where it's just not as good because you can do more things with a mouse and keyboard. You can do more of the cool competitive tricks, like the special trick jumps that you have to end up learning to get really good to pull off crazy, amazing stuff. So there's going to be a point where there's a break, I feel, where controller players, whether they're controller players on PC or controller players on console, there's going to be the aim assist that's just going to make things tougher for them. So,
but aren't controller players going to be inherently good? Isn't there going to be a room of good players on the console arena against controller players in the console and controller arena?
So this is what I encourage at top level play on PC and Xbox. What I encourage at top level play, so top say 15%, so say like gold league and higher, or whatever they decide to call them. So like the top 2 leagues in these games, when they get to that point, I encourage to turn off cross-platform, because cross-platformed controller players are going to go in and hand out free elo to mid-level competitors in the PC keyboard mouse arena. And it's because Xbox has come out and said that they're not supporting keyboard mouse play for the Xbox, so you cannot get that type of performance there. But there are good players on both sides. Other people might argue against it, but in drawing on my years of experience, when it comes to controller versus keyboard mouse wins out. And it doesn't matter how good they are, but there will be stellar controller players. On both sides, there will be fantastic controller players on PC and Xbox, and I encourage them at that top level of play. And maybe Gigantic will do something like this, where they turn off cross-platforming at high level, and they say, here's our Xbox championship, and here's our PC championship. And they do 2 separate ones so they can promote both sides of the community. But I don't think cross-platform high-end competition is a good thing for the community at all. I think they need to encourage high-end PC and high-end console. And I think that would be a strong thing, and then allow people to mix in on the way up. But I think there's going to be a point where people need to say, okay, it's just not worth it for me to be doing cross-platform anymore.
Yep, exactly. So let's hear from Eric. He's been chimed in for a little bit.
So, I mean, coming from a different direction, from the whole Xbox versus PC, like putting that aside, I'm going to say what I think, but I was just curious as to what people thought were maybe some underlying individual reasons behind this partnership, because we know that Gigantic is going to be up against Blizzard's Overwatch, whether or not they're the same genre. Do you think that maybe this was some sort of financial play to compete with this, Blizzard's this terrifying, like, financial endless funding bucket of doom, and they didn't want to get just destroyed by marketing in that way. So I was just wondering if anyone felt the same way. I kind of feel like they had to. You know, they're going to be at PAX East on the same floor as Blizzard's Overwatch, I believe, and this could be, you know, something.
I think that's a really good point. They really foster community, and it's really wonderful. But at the end of the day, Motiga is a company, and I still believe that it's a brilliant move for them to do this, especially financially. Like, it's just good business. It's gonna give them that edge, and it's gonna give them that financial backing that you won't see in other indie companies. And that's, as long as, and I guess this is where the double-edged sword comes in, as long as Microsoft holds up their end, I think you'll see a lot of good things. And that's kind of and you really can't tell. It's so early to even begin to fathom where this will go, and are they holding up their end? Is Motiga holding up their end? It's just so early to tell, but I think as far as financial and business wise goes, I think it's brilliant. I think that's a good point that honestly they probably did. They got to compete at the end of the day.
I want to weigh in on that really bad.
Go.
Okay.
I've talked to Motiga about Blizzard in particular, about Overwatch, because ever since we heard about the announcement at Clashpoint, we had the same concerns that how are you going to compete with this big, massive Overwatch thing, and Blizzard just like rain on everyone's parade, and Motigans, and I'm not quoting anybody in particular here if they want to chime in. I know Vince is in the chat, but Motiga's out to make their own game. They're out to make their game and support their community, and they don't care what anything else is going on. They're going to make the best game possible, and it's maybe I don't think there's like a marketing expert on their staff, but I highly doubt this was a marketing-driven decision. Like, from my point of view, it was a decision to bring the game to more people, so they did it that way. And I really don't think Motiga's after money or after trying to get a bunch of people behind it. I mean, it is like Vince just pointed out in chat, it is a happy circumstance that comes with it. Microsoft is going to help them promote a lot, but that wasn't the reason. The reason, I think, is more exposure, because they just want to make their game, and if they focus too much in the game development world on what other people are doing, they're going to falter, and they're going to add a bunch of crap, a bunch of bloat to it. But if they just focus on making the best game possible that they can make, that's what they're going for.
That'll give them their edge, you think?
Yeah.
I think
100% agree with that.
Yeah, that's fair. I think that's fair.
I think the big thing that happens here, and I think we're going to kind of split off from the, hey, raise your hand. Let's just kind of be respectful in here, and because we're kind of winding into the hour point. So if you have something to chime in, just go ahead and chime in, but don't talk over someone if you can avoid it. And Baz, just don't talk. But I think the big thing is, and I think Vince just said this in chat, is Motiga has established a culture of community, one that's far surpassing any that we've seen to date in a wide circle. We've seen smaller niche communities. The COH community is a primary example of that. Even Tabula Rasa, for people who may not enjoy Tabula Rasa.
Rest in peace.
Indeed. But there's a culture of community that Troy and Allie and Chris and the whole CIC team is really put together that you can just viscerally feel. And that can be seen by the fact that two of the people in this chat tomorrow were jumping on a plane to fly to Boston to be part of it. And, they brought a bunch of us out to PAX South for that same reason. And I don't see I can't read the future, and I don't know what happens, but I believe they'll do the same thing with PAX Prime. And at that point, hopefully it's their showing off a release title. But the fact is that Motiga isn't going into this for the dollars and the bills. They're going at this for us, for the players, for the community, and for the gaming genre as a whole.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that, Tim. I think that just seeing them from the way they interact with everyone at PAX South is they're all about the community first, the game second. Because if the community sticks around, the game will stick around. And I think we've seen countless examples of that in any gaming community. I mean, Look what World of Warcraft did. They were 100% for their community for years, and that's their foundation. That's why they're still the most successful video game in history to date. That's why they still have 10 some million subscribers to their game that, is very casual now. So I think it's a testament to the honesty and to bringing the community first and worrying about the money later. Because the community first, money will always come later. Like, hands down. If Motiga said, hey, we need to do a Kickstarter because we ran out of funds because X reason, I can guarantee you right now the community will be like, here you go for $44 million. Have fun. Because that's just what we do. That's the way they have built their core, their friendship with everybody. So I think it's really important that we remember that they are being honest, and we need to kind of back them.
I'm going to shut up after this, I swear, but I want to point out something. Throughout this whole stream, everybody that was at PAX has not said Motiga's game. They've said our game, and there's power behind that.
Yeah, I mean, it's absolutely, this game is going to be fantastic no matter what we can talk about. I mean, everything that's been brought up so far has been speculation. Like, we have no idea how this Xbox partnership has worked out. We don't know any details from, at least publicly, Motiga doesn't seem to know that much details about this. I mean, behind the scenes they might know, maybe they don't. I want to bring up one thing that's like the quintessential thing that hit me first when I heard this news, which is so I'm already on Windows 10 technical preview. I'm a first adopter. I like being in alphas. I like being in stupidly early while everything's still buggy. That said, I worry about the number of people that are going to be left out of playing Gigantic because of the Windows 10 only requirement.
Yep.
And because there's like, even, it's one thing to be like, oh goodness, Windows 10 is going to be free and it's going to be an easy upgrade for everyone from 7 and 8, and it was pretty much painless for me to upgrade. But there's going to be some number of kids who are playing on their family computer and who can't convince their mom to upgrade their computer to Windows 10. And, I still have friends that are completely computer competent. They're scared to upgrade Windows. And that's going to be a humongous barrier. We are 100% going to lose people out of the community who don't want to upgrade.
Yeah, that was a big issue amongst my friends was, oh, Windows 10, like, my boyfriend still has Windows 7, like, and honestly, their Windows updates have been lackluster. They've just not been super fabulous, in my opinion. And I think that has scared some people away. But again, I just gotta suck it up sometimes. Like, I know for the community, we're gonna all willingly upgrade to Windows 10. And I think you'll see it snowball. I hope you'll see it snowball really once it starts to get, a little more traction under it. I think it'll be no problem to switch. I mean, honestly, Windows was probably going to find a way to get us all to upgrade somehow anyway.
They did with XP. Come on. They were like, oh, we're not going to support XP anymore, so here's Vista.
There's a lot of reasons behind that, though.
Microsoft.
And in fact, Microsoft just put Windows 7 into extended support, which means that 2020, 2022, Microsoft Windows 7 will go away. But there's things to consider with that, is that the fact that things like the .NET framework aren't going to run on old architecture. Newer software, like Croft was talking about earlier, multi-threading and hyper-threading and being able to share processes across cores only support certain things based on the architecture. Microsoft is driving towards the future, not sitting in the past.
I really want to believe that, but the fact that I work for a company that does internet work every day and still sees a larger than 2% usage of Windows 7 does not give me a lot of confidence.
Well, you also have to remember that it's really expensive for a lot of people to upgrade from a platform to OS. Like, I was lucky enough, my mother-in-law works at a university and she got me Windows 7 for $10. I mean, a brand new copy of Windows 7 is still like $300 some. It's really expensive to upgrade from an OS to a new OS or just a brand new install. So I think that if Microsoft really wants this partnership to work, that they're going to have to understand that if they want this exclusivity on their console and people to be happy on this Windows 7 platform for this game in particular, that it needs to be accessible through all forms of I guess money levels, however you want to call that. What are you guys doing? You guys are crazy.
Well,
But,
and
I mean-
Windows 10 will be free to upgrade to from Windows 7 and Windows 8 for the first year. Like that gives me a ton of hope
Well,
for this.
I mean, here's the other thing, and the game's not coming out tomorrow, so it's still got a while. As people's opinions of Windows 10 start changing, the consumer preview is going to be available soon, and that's going to have a whole bunch of new things on it, including the Xbox ID connections and things, and a bunch of other stuff with it. And not to mention that Gigantic isn't the only piece of software that's starting to go only supporting Windows 10. That idea, there are plenty of other softwares out there that they're newer versions, other softwares, even in the business world. Microsoft has obviously made deals with those other softwares sometimes, or they just felt like doing it because of what they're doing, which are Windows 10 only. And so there is not just Gigantic here that's going to influence people. It's the fact that there is other stuff out there that's starting to become Windows 10 restricted or 64-bit client restricted. We saw that recently this past 6 months, where all these games are like, you know what, we're not doing 32-bit clients anymore. We're only doing 64-bit game. If you don't have a 64-bit OS, you're screwed. And so that started to happen. And this is just another one of those type of things. And the 1 year of free upgrade for Windows 8 is another one of those things that not only does it make it easy to upgrade, but it also puts a deadline. And I wasn't going to upgrade to Windows 10 at first right away. But as soon as it said you only have 1 year to upgrade, my thought was, you know what? Never mind. I'll go ahead and update immediately so I don't forget it and lose out on my first year of free upgrade and stuff. And a lot of people will possibly do that. And I'm sure they'll spit it in people's face left and right. Upgrade now for free. Upgrade now for free. Upgrade now for free.
That's a really good point, Kennedy. One of the things that I thought Microsoft didn't do well was with 8.1, or with 8 rather, was stress that the update was only $40, I think, for the first 12 months. But with that, I think they're going to take a lot of the mistakes that they made advertising that product and apply them to the Windows 10 launch. They're really going to make sure that people understand that it's going to be free for the entire year, for the entire first year that it's available. And like another good point that you made was that it's not coming out tomorrow. They have so much time to really amp up the hype train for this product and get it into as many hands as possible. And right now, it's looking like it's a no-brainer for anyone who's going to be exposed to that advertisement.
Oh, no fair. Oh, baby Cam. Oh, I just squeezed his cheeks. Ugh.
Wow, he looks just like you. It's scary.
Dude, they're identical. I cannot. They're so much like the same person.
So I wanted to take a quick moment and introduce you guys to my new son. He was born last Thursday at 2:28.
Your son, Tim? Your new son?
My new son.
Happened to the old one?
I had to replace him with this one. He's way more cute.
Well,
I'd be the same person.
It makes sense.
See, look, he's making the Tim face.
I don't actually have the stream open.
Oh, that's sad. You're missing my son.
Wow, that's sad.
So sorry to interrupt that. He was just crying.
No,
so.
you're fine.
It's fine. I had a point, and I have to have a minute to get my maternal instincts down.
Hot flashes already.
Oh yeah, I'm having maternal hot flashes. Oh god, get in here! I have to get pregnant right now.
My daughter to our mother's or my
anyway.
grandmother's place. And a
My
baby
son's asleep,
contest.
so you know.
So what I was gonna say, speaking of content and promises and hype, is, and I had this discussion beforehand, and a buddy of mine brought up a point. We're kind of an abused demographic. It's really like the first time, like when I saw Microsoft, first thing I thought was, Molyneux, and I love the Fable games, but there's a lot of backlash for hype, and I think that's really, it's great, but it's kind of a double-edged sword, and that makes me a little nervous, and I think that a lot of people would feel the same, and I think that's why people are nervous about Windows 10, as advanced as we are I have a lot of people in my life who's like, oh, new things. I'm good. I'm sort of happy where I am. And so I'm hoping that as much hype as there is, there's as much, delivered promises, because we are wary. And I think we have every right to be a little bit wary, because a lot of hype, a lot of promises, we like things being delivered, and sometimes it's not feasible to be delivered. Sometimes there's delays, there's technical issues. Like, I'm not a game developer, I'm not a businesswoman, I don't know what's going on behind the scenes, except that we kind of have to trust and as a community kind of stick together and be like, all right, even if they don't deliver on 100% everything, we have to remember how it works, and we have to remember that, things will come, and not be so Stockholm syndrome into immediately recoiling from anything new and anything that's, oh God, the baby though, I can't.
You keep talking
Damn
about
it,
deliver.
Kim.
You keep talking about deliver, and I'm
And
like,
you just, I just want it to be delivered like a smooth epidermal, just painless.
What is wrong with you? Someone just
who is joining?
so confused. Who's just joining?
Oh God.
All the boxes are messed up. No. No. There we go. Okay, that was weird.
I'm glad my show isn't the only one with camera issues. This is really good.
Camera issues.
Such camera issues.
No.
So
I mean,
yeah. So,
you really bring up a good point, though. I mean, it's just we really all just need to just calm down. Like the people on Reddit, the people on Twitter, and all this other just everywhere, just people freaking out. It's just like, guys, calm down. Like, out of every company for this to happen to, I think we can all agree that Motiga is going to be the one that is smart about it. And I hate seeing people already bad-mouthing Motiga and saying, "Oh, I'm not playing this game." Well, it's like, okay, fine, then go away. We don't want around this community. We're not. I am Groot. We're not like, we're not that type of a community. If you want to go crazy and just be super negative instantly when you hear some sort of information or fact, then that's fine. Go back to League of Legends or something. But as a gigantic community and as a gigantic family, we're here to support each other. Wow,
As a
everyone has
gigantic
one.
family. Wow.
Yeah.
That sounded great, honestly.
I mean, see, I have a pen. Does that count as Groot? I mean, it's a stick. But I mean,
I made that one.
It's nice.
I can make my baby dance.
Please don't.
Oh, don't.
He's
that
asleep.
that might be a police issue. Okay.
No,
Oh, yeah.
that was
Hold the
gentle.
neck.
Yeah. Anyway, I mean, it's
Aw,
really, really important,
Bazzy, sick and tired
guys.
to your dog.
I'm sorry.
Oh,
Most
he's-
babies don't like to hear me talk. It's just
He's making the
it's-
same face you make when you're tired of Baz talking.
All right, well, fine. I'll
I'm
shut
kidding.
up.
I'm
Anyway,
kidding.
It's really important that we support Motiga as a community and stop being negative, because we don't know any details. We don't know anything about the contracts they sign. We don't know anything. All we know is they have a partnership, and
You know
Gigantic will.
everything.
No, we don't. We don't know everything. And no, go ahead. I mean,
I was gonna say,
yeah.
I wish everyone could have met the devs and meet the community, because like all my buddies are like, whatever, and I'm like, no, but I met them and I can trust them as human beings instead of putting my trust in a name, just a name and a company. And that's but the way they're going about it, I think that'll spread, I hope. I mean, just they're great, and you meet them and they're human beings.
Yeah.
And a lot of companies don't feel like human beings, but Motiga as an entity is a good entity, and they're great people, and they're all hilarious, and they're lunatics, and they're wonderful. And I don't know.
Pretty. They are pretty. I mean, once you meet Troy, you'll understand that every other human being is sane. So
Troy is
I mean,
a lovely person.
he is. He's a fantastic
They all are, yeah.
person.
There's something. So let's talk a little bit about that. I don't know what the topic was because I was putting the kid back in the closet, but it's I kid. So
I don't.
when I first met Troy years ago, he has an infectious personality. I don't think anyone would deny that. But then when you meet Allie, Allie's just like, hey, I'm a badass, so what? Hashtag community. and then Jeannie and Kristen and just the whole Motiga team, you could walk up to them and be like, hey, listen. And they'll just hug you. Just be like, I don't even know what you have to say, but here's a hug. And it makes things okay. And so that in and of itself, they could be partnering with Texaco or Shell. And I would be like, this is the greatest move ever because I trust that the people making the decisions know what they're doing. What?
Gigantic oil instead of big oil. Get it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Bad joke. I'm sorry.
But I mean, there's and you know, I guess I'll toot my own horn a little bit. Just once tonight, when I started Motiga Unleashed last January, it was because I saw some of the names of the people at Motiga, and really was curious about what they're making. So a year, I'm terrible with commitments, but a year and a half later, and I'm still going at this speaks, I think, for me, for my personal take on it, speaks volumes of the team that Motiga has put themselves in. And here comes a sign from Corrupt. He's been drawing.
Yeah, he has.
That's fantastic.
Freak out. That's awesome. Hey, I'm all freak ass.
Unless it's now if they merge with BP, they'll spill all over the Gulf Coast.
Oh, too soon.
Too soon. The baby seal. Safety. Anyway, yeah. So.
You know the rest
Somebody
of us
get
can't
some
see your all
done. It's gonna be a
signs, right?
mess.
You will in a moment. If you watch the
stream is a minute late. You all
You're
done
a
well.
minute late.
Oh, it's not that bad.
First world problems.
So, let's go ahead and kind of wrap this up, guys. I know it's this is a conversation that could go on for hours, and perhaps one weekend we'll let it. But let's do that after PAX because I think a lot more information is going to come from PAX. Interviews, conversations with devs. Here comes a sign from Corrupt. Gas may or may not contain chunks of Bazil. Yeah, but at least that gas.
Oh, got it. Oh, that's
at
good.
least that gas stops talking.
Can I just ask something really fast? Corrupt.
Go ahead.
Do you think
Yeah, by all
that
means.
Gas Mask would get sponsored by Gigantic directly if that happened?
I hope not.
Merger.
I hope not. Jason's a good kid though. Baby. So, with that in mind, guys, is there any outstanding things that people want to make sure they get off their chest tonight?
I love you all.
Yeah, we love you. Be human. Be human. And remember, a console is just as good as a PC and just as good as a keyboard. All right, in spirit, you. God, I thought I was cynical, being like, no, Motiga's a company. I'm not the cynical one. It's that kid. That kid.
A console
right there.
is a computer. Remember that. It's not some mythical refrigerator with a brain.
No, we bleed the same blood, people, please.
Corrupt is going to write with his mouth.
And I absolutely want to say, like, for all my cynicism and worry and, you know, scaredy catness about this, like, this is still a fantastic game, and I'm going to play it to the end of my days. Like, I've got to, like, I love it. I want to keep playing it. And, like, I want this to succeed so desperately badly. And it's only going to succeed if we all play it. Like, the worst thing we can possibly do as the community that exists right now is look at this news and be like, well, the community's dead, we're all leaving. Like, the community stays alive if we all stay in it and we all keep it going. It doesn't matter if we're scared of console people. It doesn't matter if we're all, you know, scared of Microsoft. Like, this community will survive if we survive.
I will survive. As long as I know how to love, I know that I will stay alive.
I missed that video. I'm gonna go Google that right now.
I'm ready to play Gigantic.
I do want to say, kind of unrelated to the game, but I don't know who designed tonight's background and stuff for the stream, but it looks awesome, and the white and gold color scheme is amazing.
Yeah,
I hate you.
It's black and yellow.
I really wanted to keep it topical.
Actually, no, you guys know that. You guys seen the new Trip skin that's coming out, the white and gold one? I am so hyped for it.
Yeah, it looks amazing.
No,
Yep.
See, personally, I thought it was like pink and purple, but
I heard that they are going
Baz,
to
keep
be
talking.
using it
It'll be
at
black and blue.
PAX East, so I'm extremely excited.
Storm Pyro streaming live from PAX East, Twitch.gigantic.
Yeah, actually, you should. I guess everybody who's not able to make the PAX East, be sure on Friday you start watching everything from the morning. to the
Yeah,
evening.
everyone can.
Also, guys, seriously, if you guys are going to PAX East, come up and give us a hug. I know me and Corrupt will be there. Corrupt's pretty easy to find. He's a big, giant Goliath dude with a beard.
But no, he's tiny.
And if you're trying
if
to
it
find
was
Baz,
anywhere-
He's gonna be there.
if you're trying to
What?
find Baz, just listen for someone talking.
Yeah,
La, la, la,
I'll
la,
have a mic in my hand about 90% of the day. So
Team Tiny will be there.
nice.
So you
We
guys can,
can't wait to be back. It's gonna be good to see everyone
you
again.
guys can come find us.
Challenge them to a game.
You can find our Giants anywhere. Just look for the Giants.
I'm not sure what to say about that. So, with that,
I
let's-
challenge Team Tiny.
There you go. Just Corrupt. Corrupt against Team Tiny.
Corrupt and friends.
No.
Is this
The
CT?
challenge expressed was I challenge Team Tiny.
I do. I challenge.
Not
But
I,
will he?
as a representative of Clashpoint, challenge Team Tiny. So, good
Will he
luck.
challenge it with a controller or a keyboard? Though is now the question.
Tune in next time and find out.
I challenge with a beer bong, and whoever can drink the fastest.
So, with that in mind, guys, listen, thanks everyone for coming out. Thanks for Motiga for putting together a place where we can all come and really have something to talk about. Obviously, I'm going to do some self-plugging and some community plugging. The GGU website just had a huge overhaul. We launched this afternoon. GGUnleashed.com//gigantic. It should redirect now, but if not, then it's just /gigantic with a capital G. Make sure you head over to the subreddit and get involved there. Clashpoint.net. Tonight at 11 p.m. EST, Corrupt is going to kill
Rest in
Shortbus.
peace, Shortbus.
Oh, dun dun dun! Make sure you follow us on Twitter, GG_Unleashed. Make sure over the weekend, if you're not going to PAX, if you're not going to be at PAX, jump on the IRC channel and talk. We'll be there all weekend. We'll probably stream. We'll definitely be hosting the Gigantic channel. Make sure you, what else? Follow Motiga on Twitter, Facebook. Motiga's
All the
hiring.
community Twitters and stuff.
GG_live or Gigantic_live, I believe, is the Twitter. That the community team's
Gigantic_live,
been
yep.
using. So make sure you also follow Bazil Sucks on Twitter.
That's not even a Twitter.
It should be.
It's the best.
Please, someone's gonna make
It
that.
will
now.
be
I hate you.
momentarily. Give me a second.
Yeah.
And seriously, guys, thank you guys so much for coming out. The VOD of this will be up probably tomorrow, and go Gigantic.
Yeah.
Go gigantic! Yeah, flex, 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 flex.
And thanks for everybody, the community who decided to join us in TeamSpeak. I'm going to open up TeamSpeak now for anybody who wants to join us. Just open up TeamSpeak 3 ts.ggunleashed.com. Join us for a chat. We'll be here for quite a while
We'll be here all
talking.
night.
I'll be here all night.
And Wednesday weekend and Monday.
I won't. I need to go to bed.
I'll
I have
be
to get
here
up
all
at
weekend.
5 o'clock.
Oh, I need to go to bed. I can't talk anymore. all
I
of
gotta go to
sudden.
a gaming
I
convention.
did have to get up at 5 o'clock, but my plane got canceled and moved to later in the afternoon.
Oh, I probably should check that, shouldn't I?
Yep.
They would have
All
called
right,
you
guys.
probably.
Have a good night, everybody. Thanks for coming out.
Good night.
Love you all.
Paul Seaton, subscribe to my YouTube channel. Oh man.
All right, we're off.
Oh.
All right.
Aw.
Oh.
By the way, I finally see the change at the top of the
We're not
page.
really off.